What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Jimmy Smith, Ryan Moody, our MMA Show. Here we go, Jimmy. Big card. UFC. I just had a whole bunch of stuff all over. Oh, well, no edits. UFC 245. I'm going to ask you a question I've not heard asked to anyone yet.
That's saying a lot because this has been gone over so much in the past couple of days. But please.
Let me rephrase that. I don't believe this has been asked. If someone in the comment section already hates me more than they already do. However, if I told you that in 4 months we were going to run every one of these fights back, everything's a rematch, would you have any objections?
The whole card?
No, just the 3 championship fights.
I didn't think the Randamie fight was particularly close, but the top 2, no problem at all.
Okay. Have you heard that question before?
No, I don't think so.
See? I thought this was I thought they were all good candidates for rematches, and yes. I guess we'll touch on that specifically as we go forward. Starting in bantamweight, Petr Yan, Uriah Faber. I mean, I will say one thing. If this was in New York, that fight was getting stopped because, you know, Uriah looked his part. The eye got worse than I expected. I will say a little taken back by Cody Garbrandt afterwards, because I don't know if you saw the clip, but somehow he just got right in Jan's face. And Jan, to his point, composed, and I just don't like that. I get it that, you know, Cody is emotional when Faber loses, but it seems to boil over way too much, and a lot of people are emotional when people lose. It just seems like, for whatever reason, he has a bigger problem than most keeping that in check, and I don't think he really wants any problems with Jan right now. Not a lot of people do, for that matter.
Here, there are a couple issues that I'd like to talk about. First off, the professionalism of sports. You know, people talk about it's personal, it's a fight, it's just like the street. No, it's not. I mean, it's not. I don't understand getting mad at somebody who beat your guy or your coach or your teammate. I've been through that I don't know how many times. And it's just, you know, if I go to a jiu-jitsu tournament and my guy loses, or an MMA fight and my guy loses, they're professionals. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. I never got that emotional about it. Petr Yan didn't jump on the cage and spit at Uriah Faber. He didn't make anything personal. He didn't do anything dirty. He didn't win in an illegal fashion. There wasn't any trash talk leading up to it. I didn't see any reason for anyone to get emotional about it other than Cody Garbrandt trying to sell a fight down the road with Petr Yan, who looks fantastic. I don't know if he wants that right now, but the only thing I can think of that would make him do that is hyping up his own brand, his own name, and trying to get, you know, the fans behind a fight with Petr Yan, kind of a revenge fight. The emotional, my guy lost, so I'm going to get really upset. I don't really get that. But I've always seen MMA as a sport, kind of like any other sport. I don't get that emotional about it. But Petr Yan, to your point, looked phenomenal. He looked superb. Uriah Faber looked pretty good. He didn't look like he had dropped off a ton at 40. It's just Petr Yan's really, really excellent, and it was just too much for him from start to finish. And we talk about the emotions of a fight. He got dropped right after they had kind of a bro moment. You know, they were like laughing and like nodding at each other, like, oh, good one. And then Yan just put him on his ass with a brutal shot. I thought it was funny. Like, they were like, hey, yeah, buddy, boom, and down you go. That was crazy. But Yan looks fantastic. And whether it's Cody Garbrandt or Marlon Moraes or any of the names that have been kicked around, I think he deserves a big push. The problem is he's not super marketable in a sense, and he's super dangerous. And usually that can be a tough combination. But the performance against Uriah Faber, he deserves all the credit he gets.
You know, it's so funny. That moment to me reminded me of if you've ever been like in a questionable sparring session with someone where you kind of give them the look like after they've been a little bit too hard, and then, you know, you kind of just return fire that same way and see if they really want that type of problem. And that was like the way it looked to me. Like, he was like, hey, you really want all this? And he was like, sure, I do. And then, yeah, you didn't. You didn't really want it. You thought you did, but you didn't. So we're going to move forward here. It's a really difficult fight for me to talk about because I went back and I've rewatched it again, and I watched it with Marlon Moraes' vision, right? And I like Marlon Moraes a lot. I actually had him beating Henry Cejudo before. I like Jose Aldo a lot. I knew what was on the line with his career. I thought, all things aside, Jose checked every box. He looked fantastic. I get it that this should be his, natural weight if he feels that way, but this was a major, major push backwards. Even if Henry Cejudos came out and said that he thought this was Jose Aldo's fight to win, and he wants a match with Jose Aldo. He also, has some other matches he has to deal with the aforementioned Peter Yan. So it's kind of a mess of what's going on in this division right now from, a point where it was collectively kind of questioned to begin with. So it's an embarrassment of riches at this point, if you will. But I just didn't totally see this Marlon Moraes' way. I'm glad he got the win, but from a division standpoint, I'm not ready to see Moraes and Cejudo again.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, is that regardless of whether or not you think Jose Aldo won this fight, and I know a lot of people had it, it was a very, very close fight. A lot of people had it for Aldo. I don't disagree with Marlon Moraes' win. I thought it was a very close fight. The only fight that I saw clearly either way was second round. I thought was clearly Jose Aldo, but rounds 1 and 3 were very close. The problem is Marlon Moraes has already had a shot at the title, was finished. Once again, not super marketable in a sense. Fans aren't clamoring to see him get another title shot. I think fans were more excited about Jose Aldo at 135. That would have been a stellar name in a new division. So it kind of muddies the water a little bit. I think Peter Yan came out of this card the guy. He had a great performance at 135. Marlon Moraes won a very close fight, but Yan looked fantastic. So that's another issue too, is Marlon Moraes was trying to establish himself, get back on track, get back in title contention, and he was on the same card as a 135er who looked great against a lesser foe, in my opinion. I think Jose Aldo's better than Uriah Faber, always has been. But still, Peter Yan really made a statement, and Marlon Moraes got a win, but he really needed a defining statement win to get back in title contention simply because he already had a shot.
I think to your point, though, I guess I thought initially this was kind of a robbery. And watching it again, I took that sentiment back a little bit. It was closer watching it again, and I think part of that may have been just my, in-fight bias to see Aldo do better than he was probably doing in the moment.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we were all, I assume you included, watching that first round to see if Aldo was okay. We were all like, oh man, is he going to be all right at 135? Yeah, he weighed in, looked good at the weigh-in. Who knows how that translates on fight night? So I think a lot of people were not only biased because we like Jose Aldo as a fighter. We love Jose Aldo, what he's done for the sport and all these things. And the fact that he looked good in round 1, I think may have made people take his side a little bit in round 1. Like, oh my God, he's looking good. Rather than from a neutral perspective of he's supposed to look good. Did he win the round? You know what I mean? But yeah, I need to rewatch it because I didn't know at the end of the third round who won. I would have maybe given a slight edge to Jose Aldo, but not by a whole lot. I remember finished watching the third round, and I was like, God, I wonder who won this. Thought Jose Aldo clearly won round 1. Round 2. I thought round 1 was very close. And so I didn't know who was going to win it. Once again, slight edge to Jose Aldo, but not a robbery by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of people see it that way.
I want to take that, and I'm so glad you kind of put it in that context of an expectation, the expectation we had for Jose Aldo. And when we saw that come through, we were glad. Because I feel like when we move forward, talked about Germaine, and I can never say her name right, so it just is what it is. I have trouble with it too.
Germaine Randamie.
And Amanda Nunes. When I went back and looked, because I saw a lot of negativity towards Amanda, and I think that some of that is just based on what she's done. Go back and look at, I don't care about the actual weight divisions here. Just talking about what took place. Holly Holm, knockout. Cyborg, knockout. Pennington, knockout. Okay, you've got a split decision there to Shevchenko. Ronda Rousey, knockout. Miesha Tate, submission. We've been used to seeing her finish fights at a high level early in some cases for a very long time. So I feel like people get this mindset that she is this non-tactical fighter that will go out and put you away in the first minute, which in some cases we've seen can be true. But to her credit, she also is a very smart fighter that allows herself to maintain her game plan and executes a complete fight. Now, in a situation like this, where people see her going against a lesser opponent, an opponent she had beat before, right, wrong, or indifferent, that was the general consensus, where she has a decision win, even if she won every round, okay? People still look at this as not the result that they expected, and therefore they're disappointed in her performance. It's a shame because she's gotten herself to this point by beating some very big names at, I guess, the height of their career. And then when we see a little bit short of that, you have this kind of negative context of this fight. And that's why I was interested to know if you would want to see this get ran back for a third time. Certainly not the rubber match we're used to seeing. You don't see them on 2 wins. But I wouldn't mind seeing this again for that exact reason. Do you think that she could go all 5 rounds again? And could Germaine put together a better game plan than she had here? Because she was just not prepared. And she may never be prepared.
Yeah, but that's the issue to me, is you're essentially saying you didn't do well enough, we're running it back. The only reason you would run this back is because you don't feel, and I mean the fan, not you, but fans in general, the UFC obviously feels Amanda Nunes didn't do enough. She should have had a dominant performance. She should have knocked her out. I had somebody write that she, quote, pussed out by not standing with Germaine Randamie, as if she's obligated to stand there with an excellent kickboxer and trade punches. And that's not fair. That's not fair at all. The greatest of all time, whoever makes that list, GSP, Anderson Silva, Faber, whatever, they won decisions sometimes too. They didn't blow out everybody. Sometimes you have to win a decision. You know, you fight the smart way. You have to out wrestle somebody, use your top pressure, whatever the game plan is, and you find their weakness and you exploit it. And it's not dramatic. It's not dynamic. It's not super exciting, but it's a dominant win. Every great champion has that. That's it. End of story. Every great champion. I didn't hear anyone criticizing Stipe Miocic for taking down Ngannou for 5 friggin' rounds. But it's like Amanda Nunes, oh, she didn't knock her head off. She sucks. That's unfair. It's shitty. It's unfair. And I don't agree with it, and I don't like it. Because she's the champion, whoever she's facing is the best in the division outside of her. Other than Amanda Nunes, Germaine Randamie was the best the division had to offer. And she dominated her, won 4 out of 5 rounds on every single judge's scorecard. So it's absurd that this idea that she didn't do enough, she clearly won. And so, I just don't get the criticism. I don't get the hate. Maybe it's because she's a female champion. Maybe it's because she's raised the bar too high by blowing out so many great fighters. But you show me a great champion in MMA history who didn't win a decision in their prime. You're not going to find one.
Are you telling me that Elite XC has a Twitter account and during this fight they were posting that this should have been all stand-up?
If they do, I didn't see it, thankfully.
Jimmy, you know what the greatest thing about MMA is?
What?
Being wrong.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we were wrong. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I am happy that I was wrong about Alexander Volkanovski because he really put it on Max Holloway. I was beyond the shadow of a doubt impressed with his performance. When we did this fight, I said that Max Holloway comes in at 100% on every level and finds someone's weakness. I believe you said that Volkanovski would be a great competitor, but not a champion. And to our credit, there was a lot of things that we accepted in making those opinions. But the great thing about this sport is we can go out and watch someone prove us wrong in glorious fashion. And this really is one of the very few times I've seen recently that you can go back and make the case that Max Holloway lost every single round. And it was an incredible performance to see. And I think, honestly, Volkanovski is going to be a great champion. I think that he showed a very definitive skill set there that is not to be taken lightly by anyone in the division. And now that, all things have been kind of put into perspective by his win, I honestly feel like he's going to be a fighter that you're going to have a hard time losing the belt, because he obviously took this fight very seriously, put in all the work that he needed to, and followed through on everything that a lot of people told him he couldn't to win this championship.
To add to that, to me, Max Holloway didn't look quote unquote off, right? Sometimes we see performances like this and it's a matter of the favorite or the champion not throwing enough, looking kind of off or befuddled. Alexander Volkanovski came in there, and Steeler agrees with me, with a great game plan. From the beginning, neutralized Max Holloway's offense, great job with the leg kicks, beautiful straight punches, compact, tight defense, explosive, and never got off message, never got off game plan. Max Holloway is really good, much like the Diaz brothers in a sense, at drawing you into a brawl, right? Making it about volume, making it about pacing, and just drowning you in deep water. Volkanovski never allowed Max Holloway to make it a brawl. He was tight, compact, stocky, so he never allowed Max Holloway to get his jab going, never gave him an easy target with the jab. He was explosive with his footwork, so he was able to get inside very, very quickly, and was able to chop him on the outside with the leg kick. Beautiful stuff. I mean, that's how you're supposed to write it up. Just great game planning and great execution. For 25 minutes, he refused to allow Max Holloway to brawl with him. Never let it happen. That's crazy. And will he be a great champion? I think so. Would I mind Max Holloway getting an immediate rematch? No. I think Max Holloway put in enough time in the division and had a run that was so exceptional and extraordinary that I think he deserves another shot at it. And I thought it was a great fight. And Volkanovski, hey, full credit to him. He proved everyone, myself included, wrong. And that's great.
Just so you know, I'm going to call a little bit of audible. From now on, based on watching this pay-per-view, anytime you hear one of Jimmy's dogs, I want that to be connected to a Conor McGregor promo, because good Lord, if you didn't know Conor McGregor was coming back, watch this pay-per-view for 20 minutes and it will be made very, very clear to you. I even text you. I was annoyed and tired of hearing them, because I realized that some of these clips are very, very old. Some of these clips, I think, may have had you doing the voiceovers in them, even though you didn't listen to them. But I was a little bit taken back by how much we were continually reminded that Conor McGregor is apparently what we're here all to see on a night where 3 championship belts were on the line. And, 2 of them actually, I guess, in a way, changed hands, because Colby was, I guess, really thinking that he had the welterweight championship here. So we'll transition into that fight to cap this recap. There's a lot of capping going on there. Kamaru Usman comes out, and this was probably the most powerful quote I've ever seen before a fight. He literally said that he was going to beat him up for 24 minutes and finish him in the last. Now that's a tall order for any fighter. But he literally comes out and darn near does it. I know Colby did look very good. I know that Colby has the heart of 1,000 lions to fight through a broken jaw. I know that people will not give him any shred of credit for what he did, and that's okay, because he made that bed and now he gets to lie in it. And I cannot say there isn't just a little bit of irony that a guy that really built himself to be this character on words and made you pay attention to what he said as opposed to how good of a fighter he was, got his jaw broken in a fight. And now the only thing he'll be able to do for a little while is rely on the physical aspect of Colby Covington, not the verbal aspect, which obviously was becoming much overblown.
Very true. Look, there are a few things I want to address. First off, what is impressive about him fighting with the jaw injury he had is that he never fought defensively. A lot of fighters would have continued fighting with the injury he had, but they would have watched that jaw. Hands up, super tight, head movement. Man, I can't take punches to the jaw anymore. He didn't. He still fought with the same kind of intensity. Of course, he took kind of had some trouble in round 3, but he started fighting hard in round 4. A lot of fighters wouldn't have done that. He came out to win it in round 4. Came out to win it in round 5. That was the impressive part. Not that he would have quit on the stool. A lot of fighters wouldn't have quit on the stool with that injury, but they would have been much more careful with their offense. He was not. He was not. Was not at all. So, certainly he deserves a ton of credit for his heart and his guts and all these things. The Schadenfreude that people are feeling about Colby Covington, as you said, he brought that on. And he loves it and he revels in it. You can't have it both ways. He wanted to generate these emotions and he generated them. For a pro wrestling analogy, do you remember WrestleMania 3?
With Hulk and Andre?
Hulk and Andre, right? Do you remember it? I don't know how old you are.
I mean, it's a distant memory at this point, but
Sure.
it's there.
As they were leaving the ring, people were throwing things at Andre the Giant. What does that mean? He did a great job. The job of a heel is to get people to hate you as much as humanly possible. Rowdy Roddy Piper said in a shoot interview, my job was to get the audience to hate me as much as I possibly could. And the more they hated me, the better job I was doing. So there are people, and there's someone on my YouTube channel I talked about. Aaron Bronstetter tweeted, "Hey, for people that are dancing on Colby Covington's grave, he did this, and that." No, he wants people dancing on his grave. That's his whole thing. That's his whole shtick, is getting you to hate him. Don't back off now and go, "Oh, but he did this." Okay, yeah, he did all those things. Great. But he wanted strong emotions, negative emotions from the fans about him. He set it up that way. Good. So this is what he wanted. Right? So don't then go, "Oh man, all these people hating on him. They don't understand his respect." Look, I respect what he did in the octagon, physically and as a fighter. 100%. He presented himself as a crap human being, and you have the right to root against him because he did that. Two different things. You can respect him as a fighter and hate him as a human being. You can do those things. Why? Because he set it up that way. He went after the fans in Vegas. He went right after them. Raiders are coming here, going to fit in great with you losers, he says at the weigh-in. You can't say that and then go, "Oh man, everybody's, going after him. That's not fair." It's totally fair. He wanted that. That's what he thrives on, is that heat, as they say in pro wrestling. Don't take that away from him. That's a positive in terms of his ability to generate interest.
One of the things that really takes me back in the context of this fight is, it's interesting to me we're not talking about Santiago Ponzinibbio. I heard a lot of names, but I just don't hear his.
Here's one reason. Now, for the title shot or for Colby Covington?
For any, I don't hear his name at all.
Here's the issue to me for Ponzinibbio. Number one, he's been out for a while. Number two, personally, one of the reasons I haven't talked about him very much is it's hard to imagine him dealing well with the wrestling of Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. One of the reasons I think he's not really named as an opponent for either one of these guys is he's seen as comparative. Is he a step forward striker? Guy hits really hard. Great striker. But I don't see Colby Covington or Kamaru Usman standing with him that much. That's why the names I think that get brought up a little bit more are a bit more well-rounded, right? Are a bit more used to dealing with wrestlers. And if you want a stand-up striker to deal with these guys, Masvidal. So it's kind of like Ponzinibbio's spot as a talented striker without a whole lot of wrestling. That spot is kind of taken by Masvidal. If you want that kind of fight, most people want to see Masvidal. If you want someone who's well-rounded enough to beat Colby Covington or Kamaru Usman, I don't think Ponzinibbio is the first name you're thinking about. So that's my personal feeling on it.
I want to get your personal feeling on one final thing, because there was something that really took me back. And I know a lot of people have personal feelings for whatever reason about Kamaru's management. Okay, we'll leave it at that. However, at the end of this fight, something that really stood out to me happened. So if you actually look at the post-fight pictures, and I can't actually tell you any other time this happened, you've got Kamaru in the ring with his team and his mother, and his manager, who doesn't need to be named, but I won't, stands in front of his mother for the pictures to be taken. So you literally have an image now, and I'm sure by this point anyone listening to this is diehard enough to have seen it, where Kamaru, his mother would be, his manager in front of his mother smiling, and then the rest of his camp. I couldn't believe that happened in a moment that his family, and I don't get me wrong, I don't think, managers play a huge part in this too. I was just really off-put by how that transpired. To block someone's mother in a photo when they've pretty much reached the pinnacle of their athletic career.
Are you surprised?
Yes. Even by this individual. That's a new meme to make of yourself. Yes. I'm surprised that anyone stand in front of a parent when a child is awarded a championship. Would anyone stoop to that level? Yeah, I honestly am surprised. Because much like we just talked about with Colby, I can compartmentalize some characters, right? I can take it at face value and I can understand what you're trying to do. There was no need for a character in this moment to stand in front of it's not even funny. It's one of those things where you say it and you have to smirk as you say it because it's so outlandish. It's what you would see in Step Brothers, the movie, right? You literally stood in front of someone's mom while you knew photos were being taken. And now those photos that mean so much to him are going to permanently have you standing in front of his mother. You couldn't have went to the side, by the way. You couldn't have kind of lowered a little bit more. You decided to get right in front of his mother. Yeah, no, I will tell you 100% I am shocked that took place.
Let me phrase it a different way. If I told you a manager was going to get in that position, who would you have named?
Yeah, no, I'm right there.
There's a giant side of it. Yeah, it's surprising.
There's a giant opening.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't know if you've seen the exact image I've seen, but you could just tell, especially Henry Hoof's picture, you can tell. He's what exactly is going on here? There's an opening back here for you that you're not taking advantage of.
Yeah, it sucks.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I never have. The worst you've seen is people getting in pictures that don't belong there, but I've never seen anybody get in front of one they didn't belong in. I don't understand that mentality, but that's why I'm not like that. I don't understand that at all. I really don't. But it sucks, but it is what it is. And you can't, it's if I were Kamaru Usman, I would have said, get the hell out of the way. I don't know if that's the time or place to do that, but yeah, it's not good. Especially a guy who has had some, let's just say, negative PR in the past as well.
Here's some homework, okay? Mike Perry did an incredible job over the course of the week photobombing himself during various times of the weekend. If you took a novice, a person that doesn't know a lot about MMA, and showed them Mike Perry and all those pictures, and then showed them the picture after the championship belt was won, I guarantee you a regular person would think that was just a collage of photo bombs. And the sad thing is, the last picture, the most important picture there, is not photobombing at all. But I did wonder, because we're very, for those of you who don't know, Jimmy and myself both very close to our families and our parents. It's odd to me to see that happen. And you've obviously witnessed a lot of fights. I've been to a lot of fights. I've never in my life, whether it's the card at the back of a Denny's that's taking place or it's a professional card, I've never seen someone do that. ever. And I don't want to see it happen again either. It's very, very distasteful.
Yeah, it sucked and I didn't like it. I don't think anyone liked it, but can't take it back.
I mean, you can with Photoshop. Like, it can do miraculous things.
It would be tough to do. I'm sure someone has. I'm sure someone out there has.
It won't be the same. With that said, listen, we appreciate you guys listening to this, and we will be back very shortly with more commentary.